pass off the corner. Around he went.
Welcome to the Low Line.
Just talking. Here he comes. He got it this time. It's going to be a drag race. Wow. They touch. Brad Keselowski won this race.
Welcome to the Low Line Media, our second episode, and it's the first one after a race, cup race, a cup points race, I should say. Rod's not exactly happy. He was jumping up and down for Bubba to kind of get under Cindric at the end of that deal, but, didn't happen.
So close.
Second time he finished second.
The second time he's finished second to 500.
Yeah.
It's at this point, it's getting a little old because, I feel like 500, you are either going to wreck or you're going to be up front. And he's never seemed to be wrecked. Even when he is wrecked, he didn't have a right front.
He's had luck.
It was destroyed. And he hasn't had luck. He's a good Super 2 racer.
No, I'm saying he's had luck as far as avoiding wrecks and everything like that.
I would have traded the Talladega win for this.
I know you would have.
It hurts.
I feel like anybody would have. But here's the thing. At least he won when the Gen 6 was still around. So that's cool. I still like the Gen 6, and that's something, I don't know if we differ that much over, but it's kind of like, I'd rather have the Gen 6 around still.
Well, Daytona 500, Daytona 500.
Right.
No matter what car, you want to win it, and it sucks that
I
don't get it. But hey,
I don't think it had that much difference to do between last few and this one this year. I mean, they all ran crazy. I think what was the craziest thing is that Harrison Burton flipped over and he was still able to move the car. I thought that was pretty cool. But
yeah, that car was drivable. I mean, maybe not, but he definitely could have driven back to the pits.
Exactly. It wasn't raceable, but it was drivable at that point.
But news today, I don't know if you saw this, the 50 and the 31 were penalized. The crew chiefs suspended 4 races for the wheels that came off.
The 50 and the 31. So Kaz Gralla and who's 31?
Justin Haley.
Who cares?
Yeah, remember their wheels came off? The one lug?
No, I know.
Your favorite thing, the one lug?
Yeah, well, that's another thing too. Yeah, their
crew chief, the tire changer, and the jackman on all those teams, 4 races gone. So
like it's going to make that much of a difference. I mean, wow. So
but could you imagine,
they might finish 18th instead of 15th.
Could you imagine a faulty wheel comes off on like a good team, and you lose Alan Gustafson for 4 races?
Well, here's the thing. I think NASCAR's deflecting a little bit. Because who was the one tire? It was Johnny Lawrence. Nice. The one tire came. It wasn't even the wheel. It was the tire that came off of the wheel. Yeah, you can't blame the teams for that.
There was twice like the whole wheel.
Right. But the tire came off the wheel, so I don't know where NASCAR gets off.
Well, no, these suspensions were for the entire.
I know.
Improper installation. Which
here's the thing that
you look at F1, they got one lug wheels, their tires don't come flying off, and that's dangerous, dude. A tire comes off, you see Final Destination into the crowd, NASCAR's done.
Well, I don't think they should have changed the tires to begin with because it's just stupid. It looks stupid. They look like import cars. It's like I don't know. I don't know. Rod.
Stealing from another podcast here, but listening to DBC earlier, they're talking like at least if you have 5 lugs,
they look stupid.
And you hit 3, your wheel's still going to stay on.
Exactly.
2,
that's the point I was going to make.
Your wheel's still going to stay on.
That's
you have to pit for a vibration.
Right.
But
I was going to make
one lug. You mess up the one lug, the wheel's gone.
I was going to make the point that if you had the 5 lugs and the 1 lug, that they're generally more likely to stay on a 5 lug car. Because if you miss it on a 1 lug, then you're in trouble. There's no really saving it, like you said, like they said on the door bumper.
So,
but that being said, that's not to say that obviously they didn't come off when they had the 5 lugs. So I'm not going to say that they were perfect, but don't fix something to where it's still going to break the same way. You know what I mean? Because you can have these safety measures, but humans are still humans, and those pit crew members are still human.
Well, anyway, let's go back to the race. What do you think about the 500?
Well,
as far as as a race fan, like an unbiased race fan, you weren't cheering for anybody like me yelling on the floor for Bubba about to take my clothes off.
I was pretty upset when Kyle Larson lost.
Like favorite drivers aside, the race itself. How do you think the race was compared to other 500s?
It was like the same. When they got down to racing, it was the same. Guys getting ballsy, making moves, and wrecks happened. And that's what happens every year. So
I will say it did seem like these cars could kind of suck up and pass a little bit better than the last gen. Because you remember, you really couldn't suck up to a guy and just drive around them. Like if you had a good car, it really seemed like in this current gen with this package, you could honestly make some moves. Well, guys were a little afraid at first, but once they got racing, I thought the race was awesome.
The last gen really depended on the package too. and the aero package that they ran
Yeah,
from
they're
year
going
to
to the
year.
packages around, and they're probably going to make adjustments before Talladega.
Oh, I would think so. I would think so.
Because I mean, William Byron getting flipped that quick into a race was probably not the best look for them. But
I'm not really as curious to see the restrictor plates because it's really anybody's race at that point. I'm more curious to see how these cars are going to run at California next week.
very excited. For
Just
that. Honestly,
because
that's like the season starting for me.
how's anybody, because if everybody's arrow is literally the same, there's no real need to set up or anything like that. So we're really going to see who has the raw speed coming up soon. We're really going to see that. Well, we will. For right now, at least, we're going to see who has raw speed. Everybody has speed when they're getting in the draft.
Yeah, definitely. And to go on that, I don't remember the exact time they're saying like this Daytona 500, the qualifying speeds were the closest like they
Exactly.
So I think going into Fontana, it's kind of you're going to still see the cream of the top. You know, your Hendrick, Toyota, they're going to.
Who has the most money to put into engine ingenuity? Yeah.
Even though all the cars are supposed to be, built the same, run the same, like
You're right.
the good teams are going to find a way to be quick. They'll get creative. They'll do something.
And I don't judge Daytona the rest of the year because you could have speed at Daytona, but it doesn't mean you're gonna have speed anywhere else. So.
Who do you like for Fontana?
Kyle Larson. He loves that track, so
that's kind of the easy pick.
They haven't been there in 2 years either, so I gotta go with Kyle.
It'll be interesting to see. Maybe Roush Keselowski's up there.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
They can build on some Daytona momentum. They had speed. Fontana's a speed track.
Yeah, but that was like Daytona is a whole different thing with the drafting and everything like that. Like
we'll see
raw speed. If you looked at the raw speed, they weren't as quick as everybody else was in the single car qualifying. So. Because he was 36 or something like that.
Yeah,
he was slow.
Yeah,
Relative, if you're going single car runs and everything like that, they were even slow on Daytona.
I just think like the spotlight, them being like the new team, quote unquote, that should hopefully be more competitive this year. I'm just I want to see what they do.
I think you'll see Kyle Busch up there too.
Yeah,
Kyle Busch is going to be up there. He always runs good at California. I don't know. Really depends. His new car's so I don't know.
Do you think we'll see as many mechanical issues that we had kind of the past couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well,
Everybody's still getting
wheels falling.
Well, everybody's still getting used to it. So I mean, you're not. That's not going to be the end of that. And I hope, for out of spite, it's not the end of the wheel issue. So I want more of those wheels to fall off, so they go back to the 5 which they won't because they're stupid. But
I don't know. That's kind of a dangerous game. Wheels coming off is not good.
No, I just mean like to get them back to the 5 lug.
Yeah, we'll see about that. And what do you guys think? Do you think are you team 5 lug, 1 lug? Let us know. You can comment at us on Twitter, Instagram. Maybe I'll put the cool animation again with our handles there. And we have a Facebook, but unless you're.
I use Facebook. I just go
unless you're going on there for the memes.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to.
That's everywhere.
Just a quick shout out to the Facebook memers. They're holding it down. You guys are doing good. You know who you are.
That's right. That's right. I'm not going to say what I have or haven't done on the Fox Sports Victory Lane page, but I kind of drift away from NASCAR topics. And I'm not going to go into detail, Rod, but it's funny. It's funny. It's a fun time.
There's good stuff there.
Yeah. We've turned it into a meme page. We've turned a serious NASCAR page into a meme page. It's not even about NASCAR. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah. I mean, the meme world's going pretty good right now for NASCAR. And as it gets popular,
it's getting popular. It's getting better. I think we're on the upswing again, so that's a good thing.
We have a guest today.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be joining us in a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit longer, but Stephen Mallozzi, he's a local South Jersey dude. He races modifieds, or not modifieds, late model cars. He grew up racing go-karts. He's kind of all over the place. He's a development driver for Reume Brothers. You may know the Truck Series team. He's in their program, so we're going to talk to him.
Yeah.
See what's going on there and talk about whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to touch on with Daytona before we kind of drift off from that and go out west to your favorite place? We haven't been to Fontana in what, 2 years?
2 years, yeah. 2 years, 2020. Alex Bowman won.
Yeah.
I
thought it was supposed to be a short track when we came back. What happened?
I'm glad it's not. I don't want them to go there at all to begin with. I don't know. I like them to. Wow, that's a good topic, actually. Maybe we should talk about what tracks we want to see again. Because I really miss Kentucky. I thought Kentucky was awesome because it was a tight 1.5 miles. It felt smaller than it felt like a little bit bigger, faster version of Richmond, basically. With passing.
Nashville Fairgrounds getting renovated.
That's going to be cool.
That's
going to be cool.
But they're not racing.
But they're not racing there this year.
No. But in the future, that'd be cool to come down.
That would be cool. I would love to see Chicagoland back with the curvy back straightaway. I thought that was awesome. That was such a cool, unique. That was such a cool,
That
unique.
track was.
But I like my mile and a half. So you don't like mile and a half. I like my mile and a half.
I like some mile and a half. Just the last package, you couldn't really pass with it.
I think when you go to a race in person, I think mile and a half
Are cool.
they're the cool. Well, they're the coolest sounds.
I'm a short track guy.
I know you are. No, short tracks are cool too. I'm just saying the coolest track to go to as far as the noise and hearing the way the engines sound, the aero, and everything going on the track. I think mile and a half are the best.
Yeah,
Just
well,
the
that's
way,
why they're the cookie cutters.
especially after a restart, when you're in the front, where you're sitting on the front stretch in those grandstands, and you go around. They hit turn 2, starting the back stretch, and you hear like just the shifting going down and everything like that. It's great.
Well, from a fan experience, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the worst kind of track to go to as like a spectator?
Pocono or the road course. I mean, I liked Watkins Glen more than I like Pocono, to be quite honest with you.
I was going to say I haven't really been to either, but I feel like Watkins Glen, you're going to not be able to see the whole track.
Exactly. You
And
can't
you still
expect.
get good
You
racing.
can't expect too much.
I mean, the only road course I've been to is the New Jersey Motorsport Park here
Yeah.
locally. I've been there for some sports car races, and you get the whole track, but you get to walk through the garage, and you kind of get more of a race day experience with a road course. I feel like.
Well, what's cool about Watkins Glen? Because me and Pat went to Watkins Glen. We didn't get to go in the garage. I'm sure if you bought passes, you could do the same deal. But Watkins Glen, you know how you have your fan area, right?
Right.
You have your fan area outside of every track, and you got all the haulers and the promotional shit and all that fun stuff, right? Well, Watkins Glen, all that stuff is inside the track.
Yeah.
So they have that tunnel right when you start the front stretch in Watkins Glen, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's steps that take you above there, and you walk over, and then you walk into the track, actually, and then you keep walking down, and that's where everything's set up at. It was the coolest thing ever. When I was trying to get a Kyle Larson diecast, they still didn't have it, and it was August of 2020, August of last year. They still didn't have the new diecast.
Diecasts, they take about a year to come out. I think actually
It's
last year's start of their season diecast just came out a couple months ago.
It's ridiculous.
And I have the Bubba Dago win on pre-order, and I checked today. It said July or August, and that's going to be almost a full calendar year for it to come out.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know why we can't make stuff like that quicker.
Well,
team wins the Super Bowl, their shirts are out literally the next minute, and I can't get a Bubba Wallace diecast for a year or any driver.
You're
really.
You're right. It's just
and I feel like it wasn't always like that. I feel like
it's the nature of the draw.
I feel like when NASCAR was at its height, they were kicking out diecasts.
Oh yeah.
The scheme
Well, that was demand was bigger then, and the cars got uglier over time, and nobody wanted to watch them anymore.
So start buying more diecasts. Let's get the demand back up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to buy any of these next gen. These things are ugly, so I don't know.
Are you coming right from work again? What is this setup you're doing?
I sit at home and I'm wearing jeans still, but I sit at home wearing a t-shirt. But this is my thing, it's my podcast. I come here to talk memes. I'm a doctor of memes. Doctor in NASCAR memes.
This is your persona for this?
Yeah.
I just throw in whatever NASCAR shirt I can find. This is a Travis Pastrana throwback. You may have forgotten he even raced in NASCAR.
This is a purple shirt and a purple tie.
I love it.
And that's Travis Pastrana.
All right, well, let's cue it up and go to Stephen Mallozzi. We're here with Stephen Mallozzi, apparently just straight from the Daytona 500 weekend. So awesome. First, tell us about yourself. Give us a little autobiography, and then tell us about the weekend.
Yeah, so my name is Stephen Mallozzi. I'm from Sweetsboro, New Jersey. I've been racing I've been racing competitively only for about 8 years, but I did indoor go-karting from the time I was 8 to the time I was 13. Basically, I got started in karting. My dad took me to an indoor rental track when I was 8 years old. I looked at him one day and I said, "Dad, I'm great at NASCAR Thunder 2004. Bet you I'd be pretty, That's what I'm saying. The only real NASCAR game.
Well, 05 and 06 were good too, but
the soundtracks just another one. We can jump.
04 is the best.
You're right.
I was playing on rookie mode, and I said to my dad, "I'm like, I'm pretty good at this video game. I bet you I'd kick ass in real life." So we go to this indoor track, and it's a very short period of time before I break the track record as a 9-year-old kid. Then I did that. I literally went to the same rental track. It's a place called Mid-Atlantic Grand Prix. I think they've since renamed it Extreme Zone in Newcastle, Delaware. Went there for 5 years, literally, and just did rental kart races. And, I have the record for all-time sessions there. I think I did 1,300 go-kart races there. If you do some math, obviously it doesn't work out like this. We got some deals along the way. It's $20 a race, 1,300 races. That's a lot of money on indoor go-kart racing.
Oh yeah.
When I turned 13, my dad was like, I'm done. This is boring. I hate this. We're going to go do some competitive stuff, move outdoor. And at that point, it was maybe 2 or 3 years before I was a vice national champion. And I had gone to Portugal for Team USA in Rotax kart racing.
That's awesome.
I was one of the best in the country. I was at one point the best rain racer in the country.
Awesome.
Really good on those wet tires.
Awesome.
Then when I was 16, my dad, I was top of my game, kicking ass, taking names. Dad got diagnosed with terminal cancer. So I stepped away from the sport. Obviously, you know, the logistical side of it was your dad's your funding when you're that young. And obviously I had bigger concerns than racing at that time. So I started broadcasting, and I will tell you, I'll save the suspense. They gave him 6 months to live. It's been almost 6 years. My dad is still alive. So he's killing it. He is kicking ass more than I ever
That's
had.
awesome. That's awesome, man.
So, yeah, so I started broadcasting races. I did a bunch of stuff for a bunch of karting series all across the country. And then I came to college. I go to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and I got a job with ESPN down here. I do college sports, mostly smaller sports, field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, but still nonetheless college sports for a ACC Power 5 conference university. And then one day, it was last year in January, and I'm sitting on my bed and I'm like really pissed off. I'm mopey. I'm like, I deserve a chance at racing. My dad walks in the room and he's like, what the hell are you moping around about? I'm like, Dad, like all these other kids got their shot, and I always felt like I was good enough too, and I never really did. Excuse me. He's like, well, you can't be that upset. You never really tried anything. You kind of just gave up. And I kind of thought about it for a minute. I'm like, he's right. So at that moment, I started sending emails galore to everyone I could think of. And 2 people answered me. One was Bill McAnally, who invited me out to his Drivers Academy in California, which is like a series that he runs and operates where a bunch of development drivers go out and they race against each other. And the winner of the series gets a truck race. But it was $250,000 for 40 races, and that's a lot of money and a lot of travel.
Mm-hmm.
The second person who answered me was the Philadelphia 76ers commentator at the time, Mark Zumoff. And Zumoff and I had become friends a few years prior. I had gone up to him at a game, told him my story. He loved it, gave me his email address. We became like pen pals and emailed back and forth. And he took me to touch with a reporter at NBC at the time named Michael Carey, who attached me on an email to Josh and a dude named Peter Salino. I, to this day, have no freaking idea who Peter Salino is. I've talked to him a bunch. We're like close. We've got a relationship. We text, we call, we do this, we do that. What he does and how he's important, I have zero idea. I know that he's very important. I know that he did real estate, and I know that he knows a lot of people in the RTA. That's all I know. So Peter calls me. He says, don't do the VMR Drivers Academy. He's like, come down to Charlotte. We'll get you a job down here and we'll do some stuff. 2 weeks later, he calls me. He says, pack your bags, move to Charlotte. I packed up my dorm room that day. It's April. I'm still in the school year, but it's COVID, so everything's online. Drove down and moved into a house. And then I lived in Charlotte Monday morning. It was Saturday. I moved in. Monday morning, he walks me into Josh's office. Josh has no idea who the hell I was, and kind of went out from there. It's kind of nuts.
So were you like right off the get-go just driving for Rayoon? Were you kind of like around the shop, maybe learning maybe more mechanical? Like, tell me like your role when you got there.
So when I got there, Josh basically just found me stuff to do. And the first thing he wanted me to do was he wanted me to wrap race cars. And that's a nightmare. And that is a terrible job. And everybody who does it deserves all the praise in the world because it sucks.
I watch all those like speed, like, you know, like sped up videos of doing it. And man, it looks like a process.
It doesn't do it justice. I mean, the best guys can do it in 3 hours, you know. They can wrap a whole race car.
Mm-hmm.
If you're new at it, it'll take a day, maybe more. Like it'll take a lot of time.
Right.
I dropped that. I'm not great with my hands. I know my way around a go-kart really well. When you start talking about cars, I want nothing to do with it. I don't want to touch somebody else's machine going 170 miles an hour. So I did learn quite a bit mechanically, but I mostly helped with the logistical stuff. And I did some parts running. I learned the ins and outs of how they operate a team, and I realized that RBR is a really small team. There are not a lot of full-time employees there. And even now, a lot of the labor that they get is interns, their internship program, which is kind of a two-way street because they got guys who want NASCAR experience coming in, and Josh, is operating on a budget and gets the hands he needs to run the race team. Anyway, I digress. So
Sure.
Josh had me doing all this stuff. And he knew what my goal was, and he decided that the objective was going to be to launch a late model program for me to try and get my approval, because my goal in NASCAR for the time being has never been to do a full-time truck campaign, has never been to make it to Cup. It's been to do one NASCAR National Series start with my dad around to see it. That has been my whole goal. And even that, like, we are doing everything on a budget. I bought my late model and everything I got with it for about 25 grand. So engine, chassis, all the parts, all the tools, everything, I probably spent 25 grand, which, if you know the late model scene well, is nothing. There are people who spend 70 grand to race on those bad boys just to get behind the wheel and get the most competitive rev racing car. So the objective was to just get it done as cheaply as possible, because I'm a college kid. I'm not loaded with cash, but I did have a good chunk of change because when COVID hit, I invested all my money and I pretty much quadrupled it. So right now we're kind of in that phase where I'm doing late model stuff. Josh has formally launched a driver development program, so I am associated, like I'm actually a driver for RBR. But right now the goal is to try and get enough late model events in to get my approval to do a truck race at a short track or a road course.
Awesome.
That would be
That's
so
awesome.
cool to see.
That's
So you
awesome.
just said you were at the
That's
Daytona
awesome.
500. Were you just kind of there working with the team, interning, helping, move tires around? Were you just kind of fan? Tell us about going there with Reem.
So I've always said, for me, my best asset isn't my hands. It's what's up here. So something I've always been good at doing is writing and social media. So I do a lot of the press release, and I run the Twitter accounts for RBR when I'm at the racetrack. So that's what I did all weekend. Is I tweeted, I determined what went up on social media, kind of, in tangent with their photographers and those kinds of people. And that's what I spent most of the weekend doing. But obviously, when they need help pushing a car around or running to go get something, I'm on it. I'm on whatever they needed me to do while I was down there. And let me tell you, I don't know if you guys have been to Daytona. If you haven't, you got to go. That was my first time, and it's surreal. I mean, there are 110,000 people in the stands, and you look out on the racetrack pit road, and it's just people.
Yeah,
I mean, it is
a lot this year.
as far as the eye can see.
Yeah.
And then you go in the infield, and it takes you an hour and a half to get out because there's so many people in the infield trying to get in and out at the end of a race. It's utter lunacy. I mean, you can't just fathom what it's probably, honest to God, about 180,000 people who are in the facility at a time. And you can't fathom what that looks like in Daytona. And you can't really fathom how big the racetrack is either. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got that experience, and the more you're with the team, the more you're helping out. You're always going to be on the back of their minds. When that spot does open up. So that's awesome that you're involved in doing that.
I do want to follow up on the experience thing here. I got to ask you, because I know you said you played NASCAR Thunder 2004, and that's what you got good at that. And then you're like, oh, let me do this in real life. Let me ask you something here. Did you and your dad, were you guys always close watching races growing up even before that?
No. So my dad is a lawyer. He does it with his hands. He learned how to do all that stuff because I loved racing so much.
Awesome.
For me, my development with cars started when I was super young. Like my mom always loves to tell people I was speech impaired when I was younger and couldn't talk.
Mhm.
And now I won't shut the hell up. And I have more than made up for it. But the one thing I would always do is, like, cars would drive by and I'd be like, oh, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, and like I'd name the car brands as they drive by. And then, I played with the little wheel toy cars, and then it was Mario Kart, and then it was PlayStation 2. And, and basically when I started doing indoor stuff, that's kind of how it started, because my mom was always tied up with my older sister doing dance activities, because that's what she did.
Sure.
and kind of left my dad to take me to the racetrack late night whenever the leagues would happen for indoor karting. So he got kind of paired with me on that one. Yeah.
So I got to keep following up on this though. So I'm just trying to get a background here. So even after you got your dad into racing essentially, and then you guys started bonding over that, did you ever go to NASCAR races together?
So I got him garage passes through RBR for 2 events to come to.
Okay.
We also went to Dover one year in 2013 through his company. He got us garage passes and hot passes, and I actually got to meet Richard Childress and Jack Roush. I have their personal phone numbers.
Wait, really?
Jack. Yeah,
Awesome.
I called Jack when I moved to Charlotte, and he had no idea who the hell I was, and he was honestly not thrilled to be getting a phone call from somebody he didn't know in the middle of the day.
Sorry.
Gave me your number,
Sorry.
man.
Sorry. He's a little senile. He forgot. It's all good.
It was like he was like, yeah, I don't remember the kid that I just happened to shake hands with.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny. And I walked into RBR and told Josh, I'm like, Josh, I just called Jack. He answered, but he doesn't know who the hell I am, which understandable. The guy deals with you. God knows how.
No, that's fair.
But I just thought that was funny that like I was at the time when I got their numbers 13 years old, and I had no idea how valuable those were at the time, and it took me a long time to realize just how much they meant.
Sure.
So we didn't really go to a whole lot of races, and every now and again my dad will watch races with me. But in terms of watching sports that I'm not in, like if I'm in a race, my dad's glued to the screen. But me and him have really bonded more over football. We're huge Philadelphia Eagles fans.
The Birds.
I like Tom Brady, but it's all good.
Brutal. But that's like the sport that we've come to bond over. And it's not that we haven't bonded over NASCAR. For example, last year, before I was in NASCAR, I feel like that needs to be said because I get in trouble with it. I don't say it. We bet on the Daytona 500, and I was a Michael McDowell fan, and I have been ever since Tony Stewart retired. And I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, I can't explain it. And I never before bet on a NASCAR race before the 500.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should put, we put like $200 down, I think. I'm like, Dad, you should put 100.
That's how he's paying for his late model, all the winnings from the McDowell race.
The McDowell race,
that's a big part of it.
I would imagine. Jeez, 200 on McDowell. That's awesome.
I'm like, well, we didn't put all 200. I said, Dad, you should put 100, which is half of what we bet on McDowell.
Still good.
And
That's 67-1, right?
The odds were like plus 7,600 or something. So we got $7,600 for McDowell winning Daytona, which I feel like we were one of the few people who probably profited from that one. But I've been watching him all these years, and I suffered through, waiting for him to get his first win. And my best friend growing up or going through high school and college is a Chase Elliott fan. And obviously I heard constant crap from him about how McDowell doesn't win anything. And I said, just you wait. I'm like, I promise you, McDowell will win something eventually before he retires. And I just didn't expect it to be in the 500.
Hey.
So
If you're gonna win one, that's
if your friend's watching it, McDowell has more Daytona 500 wins than Chase Elliott. So
I love holding that over his head. That is one of the only things I've got on him.
I haven't seen Chase win one of those things yet. So
he may never win.
May never do it. So But so you just answered my next question. I was going to be like, okay, well, if you follow, you assume you followed NASCAR growing up over the years. So you just gave a name drop. You said Tony Stewart before Michael McDowell. But my original question was, I'm a memer, so I got to ask, who did you hate? Who did you want to see on the wall every week?
Oh God. So when I was a kid, the one guy I could never stop fighting with on Thunder was Mark Martin. And like, I realized it wasn't until I matured a little bit that I realized that is such an awful guy to pick to dislike. So then I kind of changed it. And in like 2012 or 2013, it turned into Brad Keselowski after he won the championship. But then another few years went by, and I really grew to like Brad. And like I feel like Brad grew up after winning the championship a little bit.
100%.
And I was kind of like, yeah. And then it was Joey Logano. But
A lot of
then
people
now,
like- yeah.
after this 500, I sat there and I watched him sit on the infield for 4 laps after he blew that tire in the next gen car.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't really hate Joey Logano either.
Yeah,
So
you kind
I'm
of like
fine with
realize like they're all humans, they're kind of
Yeah.
to the point where you're just like, everybody's got their flaws or they act like a baby
They're all good-
sometimes, but they're all the top level of their sport. They're all professionals.
Competition brings out the worst in everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what I will tell you is obviously, Kyle Busch is a little more of an ass than everybody else, but it's because he's at its core, it's because he loves the sport and he's
Yeah.
really passionate.
He's
Yeah.
he makes the sport better. He does.
Which I wish we had. Yeah, I wish we had more Kyle Busch.
I've been around Kyle Busch a lot. I couldn't stand him, and then watching a lot of documentaries and the stuff he does for the the pregnancy drives that he has
Oh,
and
yeah.
the charities and
Yeah.
the things he does.
They're all good dudes. They're all good dudes. But at the end of the day,
Right.
they're all good. They all mean well.
So I've come to have a new appreciation for who I like and dislike in NASCAR, and I won't share names on this because I feel like now there's a chance I run into some of these people sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to
Yeah.
shit talk them too
Of
much.
course. Sure.
But the people I don't like are the people who are in their seats in any national series because they have a lot of money. And I feel like that's one of my biggest bones to pick with NASCAR is, 25 years ago, just a short 25 years ago, if you were talented but didn't have a lot of money, it was possible to make it. Now you almost got it. I mean, maybe even 25 years ago is not far enough. Maybe 35 is more accurate. But now it's like if you don't have a dime to spare, you're in some crap. And if you run your eyes down the Cup Series list and you look at everybody today, pretty much every driver under the age of 30 came from a completely loaded family.
Yep.
And the idea.
Brian Scott had that ride for years. He stunk, bro. Like, he's so bad.
There are people who are just like, who are undeserving of the quality ride that they have in the sport. And not trying to take that away from anybody. I mean, because obviously if you've won in NASCAR's top series, you're a talented driver. But I mean, you look at some of the guys, I mean, even a Chase Elliott or Ryan Blaney, Blaney's dad might have not have been loaded, and he really wasn't. He's not that wealthy. No. But Blaney's dad knew where to go to get everything done because he was an industry insider. He was a Cup driver for years, right? And you look at somebody like a Harvick or even the Busch brothers or Benny, who really did not have a ton. It's not that they had nothing, but they didn't have a ton. There's not really any driver these days that are like that anymore.
No. Yeah. I can't name one right now because they're all products of their family. I agree with that. And some of them have proven that they've got those genes. Like Chase Elliott, like when you win 12 times over in the Cup Series, it's not just money. It's you're pretty dang good at that point. But
for sure.
Yeah, but money can also kind of build on your talent. You're going to get more track time. You're going to get the best equipment. Right. Kind of that factors into it as well.
But I was watching something, just an example with Chase. Like he would fly out and he would watch somebody else test at a road course and see what they're doing, and that's why he's such a good road racer. And then Kyle Larson got in the same equipment, and beat his ass. But I mean, it's all good. But
it's also. The issue with it, from my perspective, is it's cyclical, right? So you have the situation where you need money to get into racing. Then if you look at it from a popularity standpoint, right?
Yeah.
The reason why kids love football or baseball or basketball is because it costs maybe $20 to go get a football and throw it around.
You're right.
It costs maybe $100 to go get a hoop and shoot a basketball. And that entertainment is endless.
Yeah.
If you want to get in a go-kart for 8 minutes, it's $20.
Money, man.
If you want to get in an actual competitive racing situation, it's thousands of dollars a weekend. I mean, just think about how much a new set of tires is, $250.
It's a lot.
You can have a whole new set of pads for that in football if you want to buy crappy equipment. Like the difference of having, low-end equipment in football and high-end equipment in football is nothing. You can succeed if you have shitty used pads. Right, you're not going to be any less talented. But if you have a crappy race car, you're not going to win crap.
It's not the same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then the comparison, people are like, does equipment really make that big of a difference? I'm like, hell yes, it does.
Racing.
Like if I take my Dodge Charger and you are racing in your CRV from 06, if we switch cars, you're going to crap on me no matter how talented I am.
Yeah.
Right? Like
You're right.
it's how it is. It's how it works.
Absolutely.
And that's how I like to describe it to people. I'm like, if you're in a lawnmower of a race car, you're not going to beat somebody in a Hendrick Chevy. You're just not. So
Oh, I agree with that.
So moving forward, do you have like a next race scheduled? What kind of tracks are you going to be at this summer? Or you want to be anywhere, anything televised for viewers to check you out?
yeah, so I'm working on that right now. I'm trying to figure it out. The sponsorship grind this offseason has not been kind to me. It has been tough, and I thought I had something lined up in the offseason that would have been 6 figures. It would have been huge for me, and it fell through like a few days.
Well, once you get it figured out, we'll stay in touch. Talk to us. We can bring you back on. I'd love to have you back. We could, tweet out, your socials that you're running for Room and just like what you're going to do moving forward. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. I do know that we're going to plan on doing some more late model starts this year, Carolina Pro, Hickory kind of deal. So we'll be down in the Carolinas running some late model races, but official dates TBD right now.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely plug that once we know it for sure.
Dude, we should take a road trip down and see one of the late model races.
Yeah, maybe.
I'd be down.
Or come back up and we'll go to the go-kart track this summer or something.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Dude, I've been to New Jersey Motorsport Park. The rental cars there, awesome.
We don't even have to do that. We could go get drunk on the Wildwood Boardwalk and go to one of the go-karts there and just
have them kick us off.
I mean, that's
have you
what I do.
Have you done the outdoor rental carts? I'm sure at New Jersey.
So obviously years ago I did, but my vice national championship was at New Jersey Motorsports Park. That's where nationals were one year because the track is unmatched. It's
is it on the cart? Is it on like the cart track the rental carts are on, or is it on like
but they do the whole circuit. So it's 1.3 miles.
Yeah,
it's 1.3 miles. I mean those go-karts will get to 85, 90 on those. I mean they got enough power to get that fast. The straightaway.
Even the rentals I think topped at like 55, 60. I was holding on.
Yeah.
No seatbelt or anything.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty nasty flips in karting. So I understand the no seatbelt rule. I mean, you don't
kind of like a motorcycle. You want to tuck and roll, right?
Yeah, you want to get the hell out of that thing. You don't want to be in it.
So do you miss doing the karting thing full time, or are you happy to be back, in the late models?
A little bit. Because late model racing is way more expensive.
Yeah.
And I won a lot more in go-karts. Go-karting was kind of like right up my alley, and I had experience and I had good equipment and I knew what I was doing. This is a completely different ball game, and we're talking exponentially more expensive than go-kart racing is. And go-kart racing is wickedly expensive.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'll probably cut it here because I think Zoom, I don't pay for it, so it cuts me maybe at like 30, 45 minutes. I'm not sure what it is. But
yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on. Tell us a little bit of your story, maybe get you some more exposure. We're not the biggest following yet, but maybe this will put us over the top.
Yeah.
Friend. But listen, next time you come back to Jersey, man, let's get a beer.
Heard that. I'll keep in touch with you guys and I'll let you know when I'm back up there.
Yeah,
sure,
definitely.
Sure.
I appreciate you coming out. Anything else?
I'm just a cool dude, man. It's a cool dude. I hope the best for you, man. I hope the best for your dad. I'm thinking of your dad, and I hope you get to that level that you want to get to, so that he can see you and he can enjoy it with you.
You don't think he will? He will.
I know he will. I know.
Yeah.
That's
boys. Good luck.
Yeah.
Hopefully the podcast takes off and hopefully you guys end up viral.
I put it in my Snapchat story tonight. Podcast 2 words, and it's one word. Yeah, my girlfriend corrected me on that. So
all right, well, dude, when you make that first truck series start, a short track or something, we'll be like, yeah, we had Stephen on.
Dude, we'll go to the race.
OG,
we'll
before he's big
just
time.
make the road trip down. If he's racing, so this is our first. We got to go see him racing his first truck race. We got to go do it.
It would be great. I'm not gonna lie. It'd be great to have some fans outside of my parents at my first truck race. That'd be pretty cool.
Be there. Bro, I'd fight somebody for you.
We'll keep in touch. Maybe we'll meet up at a cup race or something. If you're doing anything for Room, we can say what's up. We'll be at Dover. We'll be at Charlotte this year. Maybe a few more tracks.
Yeah. That sounds fantastic, boys.
We'll have to say what's up. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Great.
Till next time.
All right. Take it easy.
You be safe, buddy. All right.
Limp Bizkit might be the worst band to ever exist.
No.
All right.
No.
Anyway,
No.
you guys just listened to our interview with Stephen Mallozzi. Dude was awesome. I thought he was a natural at the podcast, and I'd love to get him back. So
I just want to get a beer with him, man.
we'll have to hook that up. But
I want to give him a handshake.
a classy handshake. You know?
Of course, gotta grab his elbow. There we go. There we go.
So thank you guys if you made it this far for listening. Maybe we'll have another guest next week. I've been talking to a few people, and if not, we'll just talk to you guys about whatever. Shoot us some suggestions as always, and thanks for listening as always. Anything else?
No.
All right. Peace out, fellers.